The story of how Ali Khamenei became the supreme leader of Iran is deeply connected to one of the most dramatic political transformations of the 20th century. In 1979, the long-standing monarchy of Mohammad Reza Shah Pahlavi collapsed during the Iranian Revolution. After months of protests, political turmoil, and growing public anger against the Shah's rule, the revolution brought an entirely new political system to Iran. At its center stood the influential cleric Ruhollah Khomeini, who returned from exile and became the founding supreme leader of the newly established Islamic Republic. The revolution reshaped Iran's political structure, combining religious authority with state power and creating institutions that would define the country's governance for decades to come. Ali Khamenei was not yet the powerful figure he would later become, but he had already spent years involved in religious scholarship and political activism. Born in 1939 the city of Mashhad, Khamenei grew up in a religious family and studied Islamic theology in seminaries. As a young cleric, he became influenced by the revolutionary ideas spreading among Iran's religious scholars, particularly the teachings of Ayatollah Ruhollah Khomeini. During the 1960s and 1970s, many clerics and activists opposed the Shah's government, criticizing its authoritarian rule and its close alignment with Western powers. Khamenei became involved in this movement, distributing revolutionary writings and participating in political activities that challenged the monarchy. These activities brought him under the watchful eye of the Shah's intelligence service, and he was arrested multiple times before the revolution eventually succeeded. When the monarchy collapsed in 1979, the Islamic Republic of Iran was created with a new political framework. The constitution introduced the concept of velayat-e-faqih, or guardianship of the Islamic jurist, giving ultimate authority to a supreme leader who would guide both the state and the religious direction of the nation. Ayatollah Khomeini assumed this position, becoming the central figure of the new government. In the years that followed, many revolutionary figures competed for influence within the emerging political system, and Ali Khamenei quickly rose through the ranks. In the early years after the revolution, Khamenei served in several important roles. He became a member of Iran's parliament, and later held positions connected to national defense and political leadership. The country was also facing intense internal conflict and external pressure. Revolutionary factions were competing for power, and Iran's political environment was marked by instability and occasional violence. Amid this tense atmosphere, Khamenei survived a serious assassination attempt in 1981 when a bomb exploded during a speech, severely injuring his right arm. Despite the attack, he continued his political career and soon entered one of the most important offices in the country. Later that same year, Ali Khamenei was elected president of Iran. His presidency began during one of the most challenging periods in the nation's modern history, the Iran-Iraq War. The conflict had started when Iraq, led by Saddam Hussein, invaded Iran in 1980. The war lasted 8 years and caused enormous destruction and loss of life on both sides. During this time, Khamenei served 2 presidential terms, working alongside Prime Minister Mir Hossein Mousavi and under the ultimate authority of Supreme Leader Ayatollah Khomeini. While the presidency held executive responsibilities, the true center of power in Iran remained with Khomeini. Throughout the 1980s, Khamenei strengthened his position within Iran's political and religious establishment. His close relationship with Ayatollah Khomeini and his role during the war years helped build his reputation among influential clerics and political leaders. Yet at the time, few expected him to eventually become the next supreme leader. Traditionally, the position was assumed to require a cleric of the highest scholarly rank within the Shiite religious hierarchy, and several other figures were often considered more senior. Everything changed in June 1989, when Ayatollah Khomeini died after leading Iran for a decade. His death created a moment of uncertainty for the Islamic Republic. The country had lost the revolutionary figure who had guided its political system from the beginning. According to Iran's constitution, the responsibility for selecting the next supreme leader belonged to the Assembly of Experts, a body of Islamic scholars elected to oversee the leadership of the state. Members of the assembly gathered to debate who should replace Khomeini and continue leading the Islamic Republic. During these discussions, several possibilities were considered, including the idea of a leadership council rather than a single supreme leader. However, after deliberation, the Assembly of Experts chose Ali Khamenei as the new supreme leader of Iran. At the time of his selection, Khamenei did not hold the highest clerical rank traditionally associated with the role. To address this issue, constitutional amendments were introduced shortly afterward, removing the requirement that the supreme leader must be a top-ranking religious authority. The changes were approved in a national referendum later that year, formally confirming the new structure of leadership. With these changes in place, Ali Khamenei officially assumed the position of supreme leader in 1989. His new role placed him at the center of Iran's political system, giving him authority over the armed forces, influence over key political institutions, and the power to shape the country's strategic direction. Over the following decades, Khamenei would become one of the longest-serving leaders in the modern Middle East, guiding Iran through periods of internal reform movements, regional tensions, and shifting international relations. The path that led Ali Khamenei to the position of supreme leader reflects the broader story of Iran's transformation after the 1979 revolution. From a young cleric involved in revolutionary activism to the presidency during wartime, and finally to the highest position in the Islamic Republic, his rise was shaped by both political circumstance and the institutional framework created after the fall of the Shah. More than 3 decades after his selection, Khamenei remains the central authority within Iran's political and religious structure, continuing to influence the direction of the country that emerged from one of the most significant revolutions of the 20th century.